TRT and HRT. Is there a difference, or is TRT a subset of HRT and HRT is the broader definition? What's the difference?
I think that could be nuanced, really.
HRT being hormone replacement therapy.
And TRT obviously just referring to the testosterone part,
Yeah.
right? Well, so for females, this equation is different, obviously, because they've got more, sort of pieces on the chessboard than what we do, right? In terms of hormone pieces that they can move around because they got estrogen and progesterone. Males have those too, just to a much lesser quantity. And the opposite is true for females in that they have testosterone. They just have a much smaller quantity, right? On average, women probably have like 10 to maybe 5 to 20. We as men have 5 to 20 times testosterone is what our female counterparts have. And so, but here's the interesting thing, Ken. The biological actions of testosterone in men and the biological actions of testosterone in women aren't any different. So testosterone is responsible for helping all of us maintain our muscle mass. Testosterone is responsible for helping both sexes have a libido. Testosterone is responsible for helping both sexes overcome stress and overcome injury. That's what testosterone does, right? It's your body's major natural anabolic.
Testosterone is the libido function in a female also?
Absolutely.
No way.
Absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
didn't know that.
And so, look, of course, and I spend a lot of time, I shouldn't say a lot of time, but I place a lot of emphasis on a healthy sexual relationship between a power couple, because what I've seen is that maintaining that and placing emphasis on that leads to a lot of good things as that couple ages, right? They don't grow apart. They maintain their earning power. They typically have happier lives with their kids, right? So I've seen a lot of good things come out of focusing on that intimate relationship. So that is something that we talk about a lot with my clients. And so I tell women that, like, look, you've been taught all your life that estrogen and progesterone are so important to you, right? And I know this is going to fall in the face of some people, but women actually do need estrogen and progesterone, and it makes them uniquely female. I don't care what kind of craziness we're trying to be onslaught with right now, but the fact is that makes them have periods, that makes them get breasts, that makes them be able to conceive a child and then birth that child and then breastfeed that child, and that's what makes them uniquely a female. But testosterone has nothing to do with that. Testosterone doesn't make a woman get her menstrual cycle. The only thing it does is give her a libido, right? When it comes to reproduction stuff, everything else is done by estrogen and progesterone. I mean, we could talk about prolactin. There's going to be somebody out there that'll listen to this, be like, well, what about prolactin? What about oxytocin? Sure, those things are important too, but in terms of dominant players, they're certainly not that. Testosterone is by far the biggest guy in the room. And so your question about, TRT and HRT, I look at HRT as a broad category of how we balance hormones across both sexes. In men, the focus is on testosterone because of the major role that it plays in us. It plays a major role in our female counterparts also. They just need a lot less of it.
Okay, that makes sense. I had a friend, he's in their probably low to mid 60s, and I was telling him about my experience because I went on TRT of May of 2022.
Okay.
And total T was like 342, and free T was 7.41. And by August, total T was over 1,000, and free T was 26. And dude, I felt great. I mean, I haven't felt that good in a long time. I was hoping I would feel that way through the winter, but October, November, I definitely had a drop off just in how I was feeling and my outlook and clarity of mind and everything. But I just don't like the winter, man. I don't do well in the winter. Going into the winter for me is always a bit of a downer. I don't know exactly why that is, but I felt like $1 million last summer, man. And so I don't plan to stop. I don't want to stop and go back to the way I was feeling before I was on TRT.
That's right.
So I was telling this guy about my experience with it and wondering if he knew, because he's in his 60s, if he knew what his T levels were, and he didn't. So he got him checked, him and his wife. They both went in and got him checked. And so they started on it. And she's on something too, and I don't know what it would be exactly. There's testosterone in it. But I'm not a doctor, so some of this stuff like grosses me out a little bit. But he was saying like she's post-menopause and a lot of like vaginal dryness. And he said 2 weeks in, cleared that all up.
Oh, absolutely.
Completely gone.
Yep.
He's like, I don't know why he didn't hear this sooner. He's like, they're going to be on it the rest of their lives.
Yeah, that's probably so dryness is more of an estrogen equation for a female.
Okay.
Right? Like so dryness, skin dryness, joint dryness, vaginal dryness are all secondary effects of low estrogen.
Okay.
And so one of the sort of I think issues that people get hung up on when they talk about hormone replacement therapy, especially women, right? And this is for good reason. So I'm not trying to like say it's stupid or whatever. We have been taught, medical doctors have been taught that hormones are influencing the development of cancer. Specifically, we talk about this in breast cancer, right? ER positive, PR positive, estrogen receptor positive, progesterone receptor positive breast cancers. And you know, when I was a kid growing up, and even in my younger years of medical school, when you went in to an oncology unit, it was unlikely that you would see a young female there with a gynecologic malignancy like ovarian or uterine cancer. And now I think, you know, the percentage of females in these oncology units that are young and having reproductive malignancies is increased pretty substantially. And in my opinion, we're being told the wrong thing. We're being told that it is a woman's native estrogen or progesterone that is contributing to the growth of these cancers. And I don't really think that's the case. My suspicion is that we started to put women, young women, who are eating a really crappy diet, and that's causing them to have even more of an estrogen imbalance. Like 95% of women have a pattern called estrogen dominant anyway. Okay, so they're going to have a surplus of estrogen to their relative balance of progesterone, and so this pattern is so predominant, right? And so you take these young women who are eating a poor diet, they're already estrogen dominant, they start to have bad, crampy menstrual cycles, they have a relative deficiency of progesterone, and they take them to the family doctor, and the family doctor says, oh, here, you need to take this oral contraceptive pill. So they give them something like, I don't know, let's just make it up. Let's call it levonorgestrel. Maybe they put an IUD in, or they give them some other kind of unnative hormone. Now, this experiment was done before. It was done with a drug called Premarin. You familiar with Premarin?
Nope.
Okay. So we can look up Premarin. We can find out what it came from, but I won't bore you with the story. Premarin boils down to pregnant mare's urine. Okay, so we were taking pregnant horses, having them pee in a vat, boiling this water off of it, then taking the equine estrogens, which are not native to a, Homo sapien female body, putting them in women, and when they got strokes, blood clots, heart attacks, cancers, we said, oh my gosh, hormone replacement therapy must be bad. Well, no. It's that hormone replacement therapy with hormones that are not native to the system causes bad problems. Sort of sounds like a birth control experiment, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. We're using non-native hormones to control physiology. So what I think happens is not that native estrogen and progesterone are stimulating the growth of these cancers, but when you take a product like levonorgestrel, what I want to know is what 10 things is levonorgestrel broken down to by the liver, and then what are the subsequent biological actions of each of those byproducts? And that's a discussion that nobody really wants to have. Because to me, if we look back at the Premarin experiment, right, and listen, we just did this with the whole COVID dialogue, right? We just sat here and talked about how you look back retrospectively and this smells bad. So this smells bad to me too. So I don't advocate for hormonally based contraception in young women. I just don't think it's a good idea.
What would be that? The pill?
The pill.
The pill?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Or an IUD that's a hormonal based IUD.
Oh, okay.
But going back to your question, which was, hormone replacement therapy versus testosterone replacement therapy. Obviously, TRT applies specifically to the testosterone component of that. Yep. But hormone replacement therapy, in my opinion, could imply a broad sort of group of interventions meant to, sort of stabilize the hormone patterns in people.
I see. That makes sense. It seems like they should come up with, it seems like it got a kind of a weird name. Like it's not that self-explanatory, testosterone replacement therapy. Like I misunderstood it at first. I'm like, oh, what? I don't want to replace what I have, But once I understood, it just seems like the name is not that self-descriptive.